What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to get in the MLFB, and we're definitely going to talk about some USFL because we have some fun stuff to talk about today. Now, the MLFB, they've been releasing a lot of information. At the tail end of last week, we got, I think it was a total of three more teams, total of 5. I think there's still one floating out there, but the one, if you go back and look at their old stuff, most of them are all their old stuff except for one of them, and that's kind of a purple and gold looking team. You'll see it up here on the screen. It's got a cyclone on it. It's got a tornado. I don't know what it's going to be. It could quite possibly be a rebranding of a team that they had put together in the past called Oklahoma Nation. I hope that they change that name, and it's probably more than likely going to be somewhere out Midwest. It's looking like that's kind of where you would kind of naturally put a tornado. However, I will say I love the idea of having a team in Ohio, and we do get a lot of tornadoes in Ohio, so hopefully maybe that might be something that might generate something here in Ohio, but more than likely it's looking like that it's just a rebrand of their whole Oklahoma Nations. Now let's move on to the information that they put out. And again, Frank Murtha puts out these long-winded things, and I'm going to break it down for you. Pretty much, we got just a few things covered here. One, the financial side of things. Things are moving along. They've got TriNet, who's going to be doing all of their HR payroll situation for them. That's the company that they've hired. They've teamed up with Chase. Chase is going to be the bank that they're going to be using for all of that. And listen, they know that we've been hungry for information, and they're ready to give it for us. They're ready because we have been patient. That they're going to give us, that's right, tomorrow, Tuesday, March 15th, they are going to give us their first head coaches. They're going to be announcing their first head coaches. And really, this is going to launch into really what kind of caliber we're talking here. Where are they going to fit? Is this going to be something that's going to be on par with what the XFL was, what the USFL, CFL is, or is this going to fall lower? Is this going to be in line with what we have for indoor football? We're going to see. And also, too, it's going to answer probably some questions on some of these guys that we did not see in the USFL draft. Are they going to end up with the MLFB? So I'm actually really, really kind of intrigued, not necessarily excited. I'm intrigued to see what they have on tap there with that, because I think that that's really going to, open our eyes to really the behind the scenes alternative football / spring football kind of landscape that us regular fans don't actually get to see, and see where all of these pieces are falling and why some of these names haven't shown up on these USFL rosters or really anywhere else in some of these free agents. So I think that that's going to be fun and cool. And then on Friday, they are going to be launching their new website, which is going to be it's supposedly going to be a great experience for all of us fans and shareholders to be able to get in there, look at this thing, and to be able to really, really sink our teeth into the MLFB, and that's supposed to be just a really big release on Friday. So they got all the financial stuff out of the way. We got head coaches coming on Tuesday, tomorrow, and then on Friday, the 18th, we have their new website. Now, to get into the USFL stuff, and I just think that this is hilarious. Now, listen, Jim Barker, he's always good for a quote. He's very, very quotable, and he's got an opinion about everything. And if you remember, he had his opinion about the XFL, and he's a guy, of course. He is a guy who, he owns the only championship to the XFL, and that's from the original XFL way back in the early 2000s. So What does he have to say? Well, of course, he has nothing good to say. This is Jim Barker barking again. Sorry, I had to do it. It's just easy. But he makes some comments. And listen, this is going to be a guy because his name is always tied with that. And he has won, I think he's got 4 championships in the CFL under his belt. So he's always going to be asked about these alternative football leagues. And he says, I'm just not sold yet. And we shall see. He doesn't even think that they're going to make it through a first season. Let's go through some of these quotes because they're pretty good shots fired. He goes, the players that they have are guys that would be battling for spots in this league, talking about the CFL. There aren't a lot of guys that you could say could come here and be a starter. I mean, Shea Patterson was the first guy taken in their draft, and Shea's been kicking around our league for a couple years and hasn't seen much field time. Shot fired. The CFL has, the CFL has definitely had all of these different leagues all over the years that have kind of come up and kind of given them this tried to fit in the space and where they are. And the XFL was kind of fitting right before them, whereas the USFL is really starting just about a month before they are. And going, they're going to be competing for viewership during the season with each other with that. So, he goes on to say that the USFL is basically the spring league. This time they're paying the players a little bit, whereas last year they just, last time the players had to play to be there. So you can definitely tell that that's another shot fired, that they're just using the name to bring recognition to it based off of what they did back in the 80s when they were really competing for players with the NFL, whereas they're just using the name now, and that these players, again, are second-rate players, and a lot of these guys couldn't even cut it in their league. Obviously, that's me saying that and translating it. The only thing is that you have a big-time media player in Fox that's big old money that has put money forward with this. The only way this doesn't succeed is if Fox pulls the plug on it. I don't think that I don't think that this is going to be something with, the XFL, if it weren't for the circumstances that arose, they would still be playing. It probably would have by this time already been expanded by probably at least 2, possibly 4 teams. And we would be talking about players really starting to make a decent wage in the XFL. Whereas, as we're coming out of the pandemic with that, you can kind of see where things are. He also makes a comment about these hub cities and, how is a guy in Pittsburgh and Detroit really going to get around either one of these teams? That's partly a valid point, but, people find ways, and there are people that are super excited. I've seen it all over the internet. I've seen it all over social media. So I think that this is definitely going to be, a successful league. Obviously, he's good for a quote, and I feel like this is blowing smoke. However, it seemed to have got the attention of the USFL. Because the USFL, if you go to their Twitter page, they have an interview up there with the head coach of the Michigan Panthers, talking about his draft experience and, of course, Shea Patterson and how he loves Shea Patterson and how at first Shea Patterson wasn't available because his obligations with the CFL, but when he came available and was available in the draft, he was a no-brainer to be the pick for his team. So, as you can see, I don't know if that was really planted there, the interview, but it definitely was kind of a back-and-forth banter with it. And listen, I love it. You are not going to, I'm not going to be mean, but I'm going to fight fair. But I'm going to be honest. And, in this situation, they're both fighting tooth and nail for the same group of guys. And if the USFL or the XFL can succeed, the CFL knows that they are in trouble. They've been in trouble over the past 2 seasons. anyways. And if it weren't really for the government keeping them up, afloat and things like that in Canada, we would be talking about a lot different things with the CFL. So, it's kind of one of those things to where it's cool to start seeing some back and forth, between the leagues and between the guys. But you got a guy like Jeff Fisher there who has a track record past of being a winner in the NFL. You bring a guy like Shea Patterson, who is he is a big name in Michigan. They still love him there. And I think that could generate some viewership for him, and that's what Fox wants. So, if like I said, if they could at least get half of what they think they can get, I think that they chalk it up as a win with this one and they continue moving on forward. Love to know your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know what you think of the whole thing, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.